Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand Fan Forum. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1. I've got to say, I'm pleasantly surprised. Some of these fan forums lately have been absolutely deadly to do. Usually defeats, aren't they? And we've been on here. I've been tearing my hair out. I've been on about my mental health, and now Manchester United are absolutely driving me up the wall. But I think I'm very surprised. 1-1 on another day, Manchester United could have snatched this. Sancho opening the scoring with a bit of high pressing. I like that. You know what I mean? You win the ball high up the pitch and we take advantage of it and score. Wan-Bissaka, questionable. You know, you could look at that and think on another day, do you really have to do it? I think it's a silly mistake. And on reflection of it, I think we could have won today, and could have is something that we will get into. That we've got plenty to talk about. Obviously, we are waiting for the main man to arrive, old Ralphie. Something we will talk about. But tonight, I am joined by Alex, J to the O to the R to the D to the A to the N. That's Jordan. Woo, woo, woo. And Beth as well. We'll go over to Alex first. Initial thoughts on the game, mate. I just want to know what you made of the match. Manchester United claiming a point at Stamford Bridge, which we do our predictor. We all had our say on it. And I think there was a lot of draws. I think you actually went with
I went for the loss.
Win.
Yeah.
So, all right, mate. But listen, what are your thoughts on the game? What are you thinking? What are you saying, mate?
Before the game, if you'd have offered me a 1-1 draw with how our current form that we've been in, I would have absolutely ripped your hand off it. But it just seems so depressing after the way we got ahead with Sancho, and then for Wan-Bissaka to give that away stupidly. I've seen Carrick came out and said it wasn't a penalty. It's like whether you believe that that's a penalty of in the modern day that's a penalty. I don't think really with that sort of thing it should be a penalty, but with the modern rules it 100% is a penalty. The draw is a brilliant result. This game, I was saying in the WhatsApp group with you guys and stuff, it was always about the performance. If that was a Ollie match, perhaps, and we played like that because we were actually trying to build on something and going forward, you'd get upset or angry about playing that sort of style of football and then just basically going in for a draw or for damage limitation. But today was literally always about the result, and then we build on it. Now Ragnick's coming in, and then it's building on that. So for the Arsenal games, and then we'll play completely different against Arsenal. I don't expect us to go against Arsenal and play like that. But it was smart tactics. But I said before the game, Carrick is playing a very dangerous game with that, because if he would have played that team, that starting 11 that he put out, and then we would have got thumped, he would have taken a lot of flack. But you knew what the plan was. It was to go in, try to get to 0-0 at half-time, like we were saying on the show last night with me, Jay and Adam, that that's what I wanted us to do, because that's how we played against Villarreal. Just try to get in at 0-0 and then try to win the game in the second half, which is what he tried to do, bringing on Ronaldo and everything. But yeah, overall, it just shows that there is foundations to build on, and that we can defend when we want to, and that this team isn't as bad defensively as they've been to make out. Okay, you could say we haven't had Maguire and Shaw, who have been at fault for about 75% of the goals. They weren't playing today, but overall it shows that the team is able to defend. And we did see, I know we'll touch on it I'm sure later, but we were talking before we went on air about the earpiece. I'm sure that is Ragnick, and I think Ragnick did have something to do with maybe the 11. Like I said to you guys before we went on air, you can't teach a full pressing game without being on the training pitch, but you can teach them to just say, okay, just stay solid, let's try to nick a result, and then we'll build on it once we're back in on Monday, and then he'll start implementing his philosophy. But I think he did actually have a say. Whether it was a full tactical overview of what he was talking about, probably not, but I think he did have his input today.
That is something we'll get into in a bit, because there has been a few suggestions that maybe Rangnick was, he had some kind of influence on that team today, Jay. But first of all, mate, give us a smile. Come on, give us a smile, sunshine.
Oh, that's what you're getting from me. Guys, look, it's a 1-1. I predicted 1-1 all week. Said it again last night. I was confident of a draw. But take away David De Gea's 3 saves. Take away my man playing to breaks, Eric Bailly. I think we'd have lost today. Chelsea will be far better side. The 24 shots, 6 on target. We had 3 shots, 2 on target. And you can say, yeah, we're more clinical. But De Gea save with his feet from Hudson Odoi was the 4th or 5th minute. That was a game changer. I think from there on, the team became a little bit more galvanized. On another day, we go 1-0 down, heads dropped, and the halftime we're going into a different situation. And as Alex pointed out there last night in the show, we said the Carrick would set up to be pragmatic, be risk adverse. None of us saw him starting both McFred and Matic in midfield. None of us predicted that because we couldn't have compounded that would be the tactic. But look, you've got to give Carrick some credit. He's had 2 games as caretaker manager. He hasn't lost. You got to give him some bit of credit, guys.
Well,
but on another day,
he's dropped Bruno Fernandes midweek Champions League game, and today drops Ronaldo. Massive calls, then. Massive.
Yeah, obviously the entire fan base questioned the dropping of Bruno. Sorry, Bruno on Tuesday night, and more so dropping of Ronaldo today. But the dropping of Ronaldo and playing Rashford up top, and lads, for the first half today, Rashford was missing in action. Seriously, we basically played with 10 men. Rashford, is it a case of can press, won't press, or just doesn't have, as Beth and I discussed backstage, the football IQ to actually press? Second half, Rashford was a little bit better, but I personally can't see Rashford taking over Ronaldo's spot in the side as CR7. I can't see it. Look, we got a point. It was a badly needed point. I think it puts us back. Are we now back in 6th, 7th place from 10th? But point today, we move on. I'm using Ollie's phrase now. We move on tomorrow, and tomorrow is the start of, I hope, a new dawn. I really, really do. But the reasons to be filled with trepidation are still there. And last night we said in the show that we rejoiced that Harry Maguire wasn't playing today. Eric Boyd today proved how good he is. And Lindelof, even I felt today, upped his game, playing beside a very physically robust centre-back, because Lindelof was confident that Boyd wouldn't shirk any of the physical challenges, which allowed, I thought, Lindelof to get in the ball and look for the out ball to Armand Bissaka or to Telles. I thought Telles was actually good as well. So there's a big question to be asked. What will Radnick do with that centre-back pairing before we even go into the middle of the park? And I think if you're Harry Maguire, you see today how well Lindelof and Boyd played against the juggernaut that is Chelsea, you should be worried about your place in the team.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it breeds confidence from the back, the kind of Lindelof-Bailly partnership, and they bring pace to the team. They are not going to get done like Harry Maguire did against Watford, a turn of pace like that. I think they're able to keep up. But we'll come to you next, Beth. Obviously, thoughts on the match today? I think we both predicted a 2-2 for this one. Did. So we're nearly there, man. We said a draw, didn't we? But thoughts on the game? Did you enjoy it? What could you take from it? Positives, negatives?
I think the first half and the second half, again, like we said against Villarreal, 2 different games for me. The first half, we seemed, to be fair, I understood why we played like that. It's the same as Alex. I didn't care how we played like that. Getting into half-time at 0-0 was a great result for us, considering our form. And I put that on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying how low the fans have fallen. Guys, from the way we've played, there's no way that we're going to go from that bad form to absolutely world-class straight away. It's not going to happen. So whatever you need to do to get the result is what you've got to do. And I think that's what we did. You were lucky with the Sancho goal, but you know what? He was good pressing. He had great work rate all game, and he's got a very good football IQ. And even though he is one-on-one there with the keeper with Rashford to his left, it still takes a bit to put that in the goal as calmly as he did. And I thought he did really well. I think there were some players in the team that did great today. I actually think McFredich, as we've all been calling it, did well in that front three. I mean, do I want them to start in that free midfield every game? Absolutely not, because for me, it's just too defensive. But I do think today it worked, and I think we kind of put a battle in that midfield. And I think Fred, especially for me, kind of really shone in today's game. I think he had a little bit more. He was let off his leash a little bit more because he wasn't confined to the CDM role, and he was everywhere today for me. And I thought I think he's going to do well under Rangnick, to be honest, because he's a high pressure presser. He's got so much energy, and I think if you play to Fred's strengths, I think he can be a good addition to a Rangnick team. Few players I'm concerned about, like we're saying with Rashford. I don't know what it is because he's back from injury now and he's fit, but for me, there's just not enough work rate off the ball. Watch Sancho and you watch Rashford. And Rashford, I don't know if it's because he's waiting on the front foot in case a ball comes over the top to him so he can set off on his bike quite quickly. But you've got to be getting back and helping Taylor out. One-on-one so many times, and that's your winger's got to come back and help out and pressing. Sometimes he'd go and press, sometimes he wouldn't, and it kind of offset the rest of the pressing. So even though we did try to press, it wasn't a great press, to be honest, and that needs to be worked on. And a massive issue for me really is the right back position. I thought Aaron Wan-Bissaka again got no first touch. A lot of the time when he passes it out, it goes straight into the opposition player. Finds it hard to get out of trouble, positionally unaware at times. And I looked at Reece James and I thought, wow, if we had a Reece James on that right-hand side, putting in that many crosses to Ronaldo, I mean, Ronaldo would be loving it. It's just night and day. It is night and day. And we need a fullback on that right and that right and that right and that right. And
Beth?
Yeah.
I said a lot of the time Sancho's moving into good positions and Aaron Wan-Bissaka's either taking up his space or not picking out the pass and not helping him out whatsoever. And then there's other times where he's got the ball and you think, just play the pass. And every time we end up losing possession when he's on the ball. And I think he either seriously needs to step up his game. I don't know if coaching can make someone that much better when it comes to the ball at your feet. But for me, it's a massive, massive issue in our team. And having a decent right back on that side would be massive for us. I thought the penalty was unfortunate. He was trying to clear the ball, but still, when you've been playing that poorly all game, it's a bit annoying. But overall, I think we did well to get a 1-1, to be fair. Chelsea were all over us. But again, we could have won it if different decisions were made. I thought Lingard could have made the other chance. Fred with his chip, I think he was just getting a bit too excited. And there was a few times where he could have won it. But it's the same with Chelsea. They had a lot of chances as well.
Do you not think, as just to cut in quickly, that we potentially have a right back like that at Swansea? Because you saw Reece James, obviously, at Wigan before. They had a really successful loan in the Championship. And obviously, we have Ethan Laird at Swansea, who's absolutely killing it at the moment, by all accounts. So, obviously, I don't think it will happen this season, but potentially early next season if we have like the proper system in play.
I think he certainly needs competition. I think we've shown that even when Teller's coming at Manchester United and Luke Shaw upped his game. I'm not saying he's been sensational this season, but it certainly gives you something to think about in any walk of life. If you're in a job or whatever, and somebody comes in that's battling you for your job or whatever, you will up your game. But Jade to the... I won't do that again, mate. But Jordan, what are you making of that, mate? Have you got anything different to bring to the table regarding Manchester United's 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge today?
Yeah, I think everyone's made some really good points and similar points that I had written down. I felt going into the game, I didn't feel like I did going into the Liverpool game. I really feared what was going to happen against Liverpool, and inevitably it did. This game, I was a lot more confident and did predict a 1-1 draw. I didn't think the game would go the way it went. I thought it would be more of a smash and grab job, and we nicked the point. But do you know what? You look at the team, again, similar to what Jay said, you've got to give Carrick his dues. You live by the sword, you die by it. He made decisions which a lot is questioned, and there was uproar when the team news got leaked. I was one of them. Called him all sorts under my breath. but we've nicked a point, so he's got it right. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those that if it gone the wrong way and we got beat 3-0, I'd be throwing everything at him right now. So I've got to say, well done, Carrick. I think when you are the interim of the interim, you can afford to take risks because you are playing with a lot less pressure. So he's able to make these decisions and see how things go. Similar to Villarreal, it clearly set us up to still be in the game at half time. I think some of the other games, obviously going into it, we were completely blown away by half time. Yeah. So you could see the confidence growing into the team. I thought, Sancho took the opportunity well. You've got to be in it to win it. Yeah, they made a mistake, but you've got to be there. The pace he showed, and then give the keeper the eyes and put the ball in the back of the net. There were some really good individual performances. I thought, the three defensive-minded midfielders in there, I thought they all played well. I didn't have McTominay as man of the match. I really don't see that he was head and shoulders above everyone else. I thought Fred, and you know my opinion on Fred, I thought he actually played really well. And this whole high pressing thing, I think he could actually come into his own with a bit more direction, right? He's probably one that will thrive. Matic, again, it's just such a shame that he hasn't got the legs, because I thought he grew into the game and played really well. Eric Bailly, in Jay's words, play him till he breaks. We know he's a good defender, and we know what he can offer the team. And I think, that whole Ollie thing is still hanging over us, where we can sit back and say we've got players in the squad, and what's happening now is that these names are being put onto the field and other players are being dropped, and we're like, oh my god, he's dropped this person. Well, actually, as we've always said, not every player is for every game, and it's for the manager to identify which players are right for which games. And what Carrick's done in these last 2 games, like I said, you've got to say, yeah, he's got it right. It gives us a great level of confidence going into the Arsenal game. I really want to beat Arsenal. I can't stand them. And yeah, this confidence, I think, good. What I don't want to do, though, is, the way we set up today, we can't set up like that against Arsenal. We have to attack Arsenal. So I just want to see that Carrick makes those changes, and we go up against Arsenal and give a good account of ourselves.
What's great?
Sorry, go on, Beth.
I was just going to say, what's mad is obviously we've been conceding left, right, and centre, and I just think it's crazy to me that the best defensive performance we've seen in a while, I don't know if it's coincidence, is without Maguire. And he's been poor for a very long time, and I do think, like Jay said, that Bailly and Lindelof today, I thought it was a great pairing,
But we were talking about it on the show yesterday about Bailly and Varane, but I
don't think you could play Bailly and Varane.
Don't you? I think that would be our best potential partnership. But then I don't think we'll ever see it. But you were saying, Jay, you think we will see it, didn't you?
Yeah. My contention was that Radnick can come in and teach Eric Bailly to play with a little bit more brains and slightly less balls, and stop throwing himself headlong into reckless challenges that he doesn't need to. That's where he gets injured. Let's be fair, that's when the man gets injured. And I admire his courage, but his injury rate has stunted his growth as a player at the club. And, again, you got to be the advocate here. Even when fit, Solskjaer wouldn't play him because Solskjaer clearly didn't trust him. I know I like Eric Bailly. I've advocated for him for a long time. But anytime he's played for us, he hasn't really made many clangers that you would say, oh, get him out of sight, don't play him again, put him on the bench. But Beth, to your point there, it's not a coincidence that today we look so solid at the back without Harry Maguire. It's an indictment completely of Harry Maguire. Today we look so goddamn solid.
But I said to you off air, and it is 100% true, is that the politics will play a part. We can all say, oh, drop Maguire. But it's irrelevant, because when you pay £80 million for a player and he's the club captain, the politics will play a part and he will still be in the starting 11, I'm telling you.
You know what, Alex? May, sell him. Goodbye.
Yeah, but I think someone new coming in, it has the right to put their own touch on it. And if somebody isn't for somebody, now's the time to make a change. I feel like under Ollie spent the 80 million on Maguire. He can't then drop him. But someone else coming in, fresh pair of eyes, there's more of a chance that they can make a change.
Oh, definitely, especially after, I know he's been out, but I don't think that I thought Lindelof and Bailly didn't put a foot wrong today. So purely off the back of merit, they have to start the next game.
But then do you not think the captaincy plays a role? Even if it's not the 80 million, it's like, how often do teams drop their captain? And that's why we've screwed ourselves by making him captain. And because Ragnick's an interim, he can't really come in and then take the captaincy. It will be down to whoever our manager is.
Alex,
you reckon an interim?
Why not?
Has that ever happened in the history of football, that an interim comes in and takes the captaincy up? I know it's all well and good us saying it, and I agree that he shouldn't be captain, but... Sorry?
Ragnick is staying at the club, though. He's not coming in and leaving. I think he's a strong manager. That, I mean, if it needs to be done, it needs to be done, doesn't it? Do
you actually see it being done? Because I don't.
Possibly, I don't know.
I think it should be done, but I don't think it will be.
You never know. When Tuchel came in, I didn't think he'd change the team as much as he did, and I know it was a permanent manager, but look what happened. Rudiger was completely isolated, and he was like a Eric Bailly.
Jorginho as well was, I think.
And then he came in, and he's now He's like a main part of their team, so you never know what's going to happen. The only thing we are going to...
Do you know what I would say about it, guys? That if he isn't big enough and strong enough to make a decision like that, then he's the wrong person coming to the club, because we need people that are willing to make those big calls. And I'm not saying that he will make that call, but he should be big enough to make the call.
I'll throw that to you then, Alex. If we keep on topic here with Harry Maguire, Rangnick will come in. He'll have his own ideas. He'll assess Manchester United. He'll be doing his homework. We've seen the captaincy handing out to Bruno Fernandes today. Will he be big enough to come in regardless? The thing that we've had at Manchester United is what we've regarded as a yes man in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And he's got his favourites. And I always say, and I'm going to do it again in my high-pitched voice, friends and all that. But we've got now the disciplinarian. God, I got that word right then. He's going to come in. He's got the big balls to make the big calls, as I would say. And where do you think he will come in? And one of the first things to assess at Manchester United is the captaincy, or will it be, no, we'll just stick with him? Because personally, I think it absolutely needs ripping up. And if you're a new manager coming in, it's not a bad thing on Harry Maguire. From your point of view, if you're the interim manager coming in, you just say, I'm really sorry, mate, but I want to, do my own thing. I'm the manager. I want to pick my leader for the team. And you go down that route. Do you think he's going to do that, or will it still be Maguire as captain?
I think 100% will be Maguire still, but I personally would take the captaincy off him. But with that said, I know Maguire is a lot better than he is playing at. Like, his level is a lot better than he's playing to at the moment. When you watch him for England and stuff, he's a completely different defender. And like, you could say, okay, that when they play like the lesser teams, but when we play the good teams as well, he's a completely different player. And you saw like towards the tail end of last season how important he was when he was taking the ball out from the back and everything like that, and the defensive performance he was putting in. But then it's just this season, the wheels have completely fallen off. And the same has happened with Luke Shaw, and I to a lesser extent with Shaw, but it still has happened. And I just don't know what happened. But I feel like when you have the captaincy off him, then he just becomes another player. So then, number one, he has less pressure on him, so he can perform better. But then you also don't feel bad about taking him out of the team. If Baye is playing better than Maguire, then you can easily just put Maguire in the team. But I think Baye in the team over Maguire, sorry. But I think when he's your captain, you have like it becomes a news story. If you drop Maguire at the moment, it's like breaking news on Sky Sports. Oh, Maguire's been dropped, blah blah blah, and then they're constantly zooming into him on the touchline. The manager's getting asked constantly and stuff, and it's just created a headache by giving him the captaincy that we don't need. And so, like with that situation, then you have now at the moment, because I would say that the default person to give the captaincy to would be Ronaldo. But then when we're now implementing, well, hopefully a new gegenpress, high press type system, there are going to be games probably like you saw today that if Rangnick was involved with the team selection, that Ronaldo will be dropped in as well. So you do create a situation there. And then likewise, you saw Bruno dropped as well, who would be another candidate. But I still would take it off Ronaldo because I think that would cause like the least amount of drama. You're giving it to a United legend at the end of the day. So
yeah,
I think like Maguire would accept that.
I think
what you do is you just drop if other defenders are playing better than Maguire, which they are, you drop Maguire. You get asked why you've dropped Maguire. You say because we've got people ahead of him at the moment, and he needs to work hard to get back into the team. And he says, well, if he's captain, he's not going to be captain if he's not playing, and it's just football. You can't just play someone purely because they're captain of the team. If they're not
I agree, but
well,
there's politics involved with stuff like that. That you're living in like an ideal world, and you are right. But
I would do that if I was manager.
Yeah, but the politics they'll come from above and be like, you can't do that.
I think you're right. You are right. But what the get out of jail card is with that situation is that Ronaldo's at the club. If you were dropping it, if you were taking the captain's armband off to just give it to a player that you've brought in, it's different. But we've got a legend, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Any manager going in goes, I've come to this club. We've got a captain, a legend in the club, and it's right that he wears the armband. I don't think the press can make a big deal out of that.
Exactly.
I'll just, there's a quick super chat in. Zay Miasi's found his mum's credit card down the side of the couch again. So he said $44.99. He said, Jay, it's good you guys didn't lose, as it will give a false of confidence when you face us soon. Martinelli, say no more. So, unbelievable, man, isn't it? What an absolute legend, man. But Jay, on the Ronaldo debate, I mean, the fact that Ronaldo was dropped today, I think, is a massive talking point in itself. I don't think he's been rested. It's one of the biggest games of the season. We're playing the previous or the Champions League holders at Stamford Bridge. It's a huge game. Now, there has been some stories that apparently Radnick had some kind of influence on team selection. Is that something you're subscribing to, or do you think this was Michael Carrick and he's kind of looked and thought, well, I'm only here for a few games. I can leave out whoever I want. I can make these big calls because in a week's time, I'm not even going to be in charge of Manchester United? Or do you think there has been some kind of, word on what Manchester United should have been putting out today?
First of all, I want to respond to Zane. Zane, on Thursday, my man Boy will put your little lad Martinelli on his arse time and time again. So thanks for super chat, Zane, as always.
Hello.
Regarding the dropping of Ronaldo, and yeah, let's be fair, Kevin, it was a dropping. We can't sugarcoat it. It was. I'm of the opinion that it was Michael Carrick. This is my last game in charge, and I'm going to set my stall out. And he felt that, Rashford he felt Rashford is going to offer me more than Ronaldo. Just let that sit with you, first of all. Ronaldo doesn't press, which he does actually press, and Rashford would press more than Ronaldo. So that was the thought process Carrick had. First half, Rashford was missing in action. I didn't even see him on the pitch. Okay? He wasn't there. Ronaldo, okay, we don't really create chances for Ronaldo, and the way Carrick set up today, he knew that neither Telles or Wan-Bissaka are going to be getting on the flanks and knocking in crosses for Ronaldo. So he thought, okay, then I can sacrifice Ronaldo and spring him off the bench on the hour or at 70 minutes or whatever. And that was just Michael Carrick showing that, look, I'm in charge of this last game. It's my decision, and I have the balls to make it. I personally don't think that Radnick had any hand or part in that.
Neither.
Because Radnick doesn't officially start until tomorrow.
What do you think about the headpiece then, or the earpiece? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Listen to me.
We've never had that before in a game. So
yeah, but listen. You saw there on Tuesday against Villarreal. Sure. Darren Fletcher had a headpiece on. What was he doing? Listen to Pete Tong's greatest hits? Come on. I'm not subscribing to that.
The Proclaimers he'd be listening to.
Fletcher was listening to Goldbridge's Watch Along.
For tactical nows. No, yeah. I think people are going to pull that headpiece thing apart, and they're going to make of it what they will. And that's their own opinion. But I don't believe Radnick had any hand or part tonight when Ronaldo been dropped. I think that was on Carrick. We all lost our rag before the game, but he was proven right. He got the draw. So credit to Carrick. I said at the start of the show.
That is the thing, Jay. Previous games that we've done on here at halftime, as Jordan rightly said earlier, well, in particular, the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City, at halftime, we've been totally blown out the water and been out of these games. Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of Manchester United fans looked at this game today and thought, oh my God, here we go again. Champions of Europe, Chelsea, they've got this, they've got that. And, man for man, you probably look at them and think they're better than Manchester United. But the proof was in the pudding, wasn't it? And the main thing you said, Jay, was staying in this game today. Sir Alex Ferguson did this at Manchester United. In big games like that, you might have had not a great 45 minutes, but the main thing was staying in that game and taking your chance when you got it.
And you're totally correct, because, a lot of younger fans will not have watched Ferguson play Champions League football back in the mid to late 90s. When we played Champions League games away, Kevin, you remember it, so will Jordan. Beth, you probably won't. Alex, you won't either. But it was all about in the first half. Don't concede. Don't concede. And stop the opposition from playing. And if we can nick a 0-0 or a 1-1 away from home in Milan, Madrid, or Barcelona, let's go and do it. And we'll beat them at home. So, people have this notion that we played vintage free-flowing football under Ferguson for his entire tenure. Did we? Hell.
Such a
What we played was winning football that won trophies. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Attack wins your games, defence wins your titles.
Fact, Beth.
Wise
fact.
words, Beth. Facts. Devin Smith, Super Chat, said, we've just seen Ronaldo benched twice this season and Bruno benched against Villarreal. So why can't Ranić be able to bench Maguire? So something we've got into there, Beth. You'll say on the captaincy, I know it is something we've kind of discussed before, but I think it's quite relevant today because Bruno Fernandes was in that team. He's been handed the captain's armband. So you kind of look at it and think, well, if Harry Maguire's not in that team, then Michael Carrick, as caretaker manager, has looked at that today and said, Bruno Fernandes is my man. And the fact that Ronaldo wasn't chosen, do you read too much into that? Or do you just think Carrick's getting us through these kind of games until the main man arrives? You know, the headmaster comes in. Like Carrick's a bit like the supply teacher at the minute, you know, the one you used to piss about in class. But then, you know, the minute the head teacher comes in then and everybody falls silent, you got total respect for them. It's like, is that the way you see it? Do you think Ranić will look and pick a captain?
I mean, if I was the manager coming in, I would assess everything myself and I would pick captain who I thought should be captain based on what I'd seen. I wouldn't think about the past. I'd come in and I'd do it the way that I see it and the way I want it to go. Want it to go forward. For me, I think Bruno's perfect captain. He's rarely injured, always available. He's always going to play. He's our best creative midfielder. And yes, he's not been great recently, but I think under Ranić and from what he's done for us in the past, he's an amazing player and he's got a great mentality. And he's the one I see on the pitch telling people the most. And he's always doing it on the way into half time. You saw him today having a discussion with Wan-Bissaka, telling Sancho, he even tells Ronaldo, and I think he's one of the only players in the team that actually is that Ronaldo's kind of going to look at, he's going to respect. And Bruno, Ronaldo could be captain as well, but for me, Bruno is always there, always available. And if Ranić is going to drop Ronaldo in certain games, which I don't really see happening, for me, you don't drop Ronaldo, but if he is going to, you want someone that's always on the pitch, and that is Bruno for me. And I think he's more of a leader than Maguire, in my opinion. I think he holds a higher standard in the team than Maguire. And I just think he'd be a great captain for us. I really, really do. So that's who my choice would be. But when Ranić comes in, whoever he decides should be captain, whether he just sticks with the same old or kind of makes a decision for himself and changes things up, which I do think we do need to change, to be honest, by the way. It needs to be a completely different era now. Forget the Ollie era. It needs to be his era now. So I think a change would be good. And I would respect whoever he picks and I back him and I get behind him until I see otherwise. So I don't know what's going to happen. And that's the interesting part about it. I don't know much about Ranić, or I don't know what he's going to do because I've not seen him come into this position before. But when we see it happen, that's when we can all decide for ourselves what kind of manager it is, because I feel like someone like a Mourinho would come in and definitely change the captaincy. But we'll see what Ranić does. And I think it would be good to change it up, to be honest.
Super chat there from Nick Hill, Tom Rengie. Easy enough for me to say. Well said. Will Ranić push for a signing of a defensive midfielder in the January transfer window? So
I hope so.
I will throw this one over to Jordan. Obviously, you can have your say as well on the captaincy. Do you think it's something that will be changed? And do you think that Manchester United in January will look at strengthening in that midfield area? When you consider what's been put out today, I think it was a total overload. We showed Chelsea a lot of respect, which I think we had to, because man for man, we had to have a system. We couldn't do what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done in the previous games, keeping with his favourites, his friends, throwing them out. And we've been totally overloaded. And Michael Carrick, I think, has proved over a couple of games there that if you've definitely got a system and something that you believe in and play to, then you will get results from it.
Yeah. So I think he's got to come in and he's got to pick his battles. There's a lot that needs to be changed, but he needs to prioritize what needs to be changed. And I look at someone like Maguire. What's more important right now is to get Maguire playing well rather than deciding who's captain. So I don't think he's going to come in and make a drastic decision on the armband. My point earlier was that I want us to bring somebody into the club that was big enough to make that decision, not necessarily to make it right now. So I think if it was over the summer, maybe you would go into a new season and say that you've decided that the new club captain would be X. I think to do that in November or beginning of December. I don't think he will do that. I think the club has already decided which players they're looking to move on in January. I think they tried to do it over the summer. Our squad is larger than it needs to be, so I think there will be bodies moved out. And I would love to think that he comes in and he knows Europe and the scouting system a lot better than we do, and he can pull out an absolute gem of a CDM from under some rock out in Germany that comes into the Premier League and hits the ground running. I think you'll be told that any money that's available will have to be money generated from sales of players. So I do think there'll be players out, and I can see somebody coming in.
I'll throw this one out to the floor, actually. If I start with you, Alex. He's definitely not getting away in this. And yesterday, I heard Paul Merson's comments on our new incoming manager, right? Now, I don't know whether he's back on the drink, back on the Colombian marching powder, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to get at here. Paul Merson, he's never. I don't know whether he's trying to come out with something just to be out there and be relevant, but it is because now we are talking about it. And he's come out with a lot of stuff, Paul Merson, where you're like, is he being serious? Is his head gone or whatever? But basically, the comments I've rang you, he's going down the route of why has no other team wanted him in world football? Stop laughing, all of you. This is serious stuff, man. Go on, Alex.
One of my pet peeves in life is when TV shows put on complete parodies of places. I'm from Essex, and they always do the exact same. They'll get someone from Essex and just put the most stupidest person on the TV as well to play up to the Essex thing, and they do it as well. I feel with Sky with if you're not from the UK and then you're looking at what the stereotypic now, especially with the whole Brexit thing and stuff, of the most stereotypical English person, it would be Paul Merson, and I just cringed with what he said. And he said something similar like that, with Ronaldo coming in. We talked about it yesterday with Adam and Jay about that he was how's Ronaldo going to come in and score? And it's you said the same about Zlatan, and he completely destroyed the league, so you're a moron. But I just cringed so much just thinking of foreign players and fans and pundits and stuff looking over at how he talks about that. Oh, he's not Premier League proven, he's going to be in for a rude awakening and all this. It's Klopp wasn't Premier League proven when he came in, Tuchel wasn't Premier League proven when he came in, and they've both destroyed the league. So
exactly, and you would think that I was going to say Paul Merson, that Arsene Wenger.
Exactly.
Who had ever heard of
he
Arsene
was in
Wenger?
the Japanese league, but you could say it's a different era. But okay, on the one hand, you have Tuchel, Klopp, and Nagelsmann saying what a massive influence he was on their career, and then Paul Merson, who I can guarantee you has not seen a single Ragnick game his entire life, trying to give his comment just because he's not Premier League proven. It's a joke.
I seen the clip go up on the United Stand Instagram, and I was like, I'm not having this, I'm commenting. And as I clicked in the comments, Kev beat me to it, and I'd already commented, what is he on about? I sat in my chair and I just burst out laughing. I knew you were going to bring it up, Kev. I knew it.
I think he's either seriously stupid or it's just for the kind of the headlines, getting it out there.
It is that.
But do you know what it is? It's managers that have got apart from Pep, really, Klopp didn't come in with a Premier League proven attitude. He'd done it in the Bundesliga. Tuchel, he came in after being sacked by PSG, and he's turned into a top manager in the Premier League. How can you actually say United don't know what they're doing? How is he's not proven? He's not proven in the Premier League.
They do it with players all the time as well.
It's proven that you don't. Tuchel literally won the Champions League with Chelsea after being sacked from PSG and not proving anything in Europe. He did well with Dortmund, but it's just crazy to me.
Do you know what it is, Beth? It's do you know who's just as much to blame as the other people on the panel? And that's why,
how didn't they challenge him on that?
Why have they not confronted him? If one of us said something that outrageous. Yeah, but if one of us said something that outrageous, one of us would call the other one out. These guys are throwing whatever they want out, and that's it. That's the end of it. It's nonsense.
I think
I've never been sure about a manager coming in and kind of giving us a style of play, to be honest. And we're not on punditry or anything like that, but we know so much more about kind of world football than half these pundits do on TV. It's so strange.
But look, the case in point is now we're all talking about it, and that's exactly what they want. That's why they keep people like Merson on the panel that just chat shit, because they know it's going to generate talking points and stuff. That he's not on. Let's be real, he's not on the panel for his expert insight, is he?
No, Talk Sport's the same as well. Jay, what were you going to say, sir?
I can't confirm if Merson is back on the Latin American candy. However, if Little Britain ever come back and do a rerun and they want to do a parody of a football pundit, Merson is it. Just literally clip him up and put it into the show, because Merson is the Little Britain football pundit. Last night in the show, Alex, you remember last night we went on I went on a rant. Just allude to what Beth said there, is that our knowledge and the research we do is far more in depth and superior to the punditry that we have seen last couple of years on Sky and on BT. And don't even let me started with the Muppets on BBC. I know an argument could be made, oh well, they don't watch United as much as we do. Yeah, but they've got smartphones. There's a little app called The Athletic. There's ESPN. There's lots of ways and means of doing your research. And I feel
like that you should be catching up with everything.
Beth, I agree. But I feel these so-called professional pundits, that's all they do for a living. Like for us, the United Stand is our second job or our third job. Okay, it's not our only source of income, but yet we put in hours and hours a week in research to write an article before we come on a show. And even when we tweet, we don't tweet just for the hell of getting likes and shares. Whenever we tweet, it's almost tweeted with a notion of, okay, I've got X amount of following, so I got to be very careful what I say. And we always are. I know we are. And nobody had to ever tell us this. It's just being professional. And a lot of these pundits, they're there in that role because they played the game 10, 15, 20 years ago. But that does not qualify them now to sit down and analyze modern football to a modern audience. But yet they are. And that is where I feel the so-called mainstream media, that is why they rebel against the likes of us being in their fan channel, because we're taking eyes and viewership away from them. Hence why they'll always keep the old school pundits there to keep the old school audience. That's just my take on it. Yeah.
I've got to disagree with you on the fact of likes. For me, that's what it's all about, Jay. If I put some out on Instagram,
I wondered why you're putting that.
If it doesn't get 100 likes, it's getting deleted. I'm devastated, man. Sorry, Beth, what were you going to say?
I said, I wonder why you're putting that picture out. You in the hotel?
Actually, Beth, explain the picture to the fans. Explain the picture, Beth. Explain the picture. Go on, you're dying to.
I mean, I could just reenact it. I'm joking.
Go. Oh, frozen.
She's frozen.
I think that's what she's doing, isn't she?
Am I still frozen?
Yeah, for me anyway.
On this one then, ex-pundits, Manchester United pundits that comment on Manchester United. I'll throw this to you, Beth. Do you think there's too many of them? And do you look at it as being a positive or a negative on Manchester United? We've got the likes of Hargreaves, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, all big jobs at BT and Sky Sports respectively. Now, obviously, if we're embarrassed and we get defeated, like they get Liverpool, Manchester City, they go in hard. And that is what they're paid to do, unlike Paul Merson, who probably has a pint pushed in front of him and says, everyone thinks Rangnick's a really good manager. Will you just say that he's not? And he'll be like, yeah, no problem, mate. I'll say that. But do you think that it's a negative spin that we've got so many ex-Manchester United players that are now pundits and with what they come out with? Because we've seen the way that Roy Keane's been very, very hard on Harry Maguire, which is not something I look at him and think he's out of order with anything that he said. But from Harry Maguire's perspective, you would look at that and think, he's going to read it. You cannot get away from it. The minute Roy Keane says something about Harry Maguire, it must be quite challenging for Harry Maguire to try and take that on board, because Roy Keane was such a legend at Manchester United. Do you think there's too many of them?
Well, when you're the biggest club in you're always going to get a lot of people talking about you, whether it's ex-pundits or not. It's always going to be there. And I think the amount of pundits we have in the media kind of shows how big Manchester United is. And at the end of the day, Manchester United gets the most clicks, it gets the most views, and that's why we are the biggest talking point. And I don't care. I know we're not as good anymore, but we still are the most talked about club, and that is just facts. And that's why we said so many times before, to be a Manchester United player, you've got to have the mentality to take. You've got to embrace criticism. You've got to enjoy criticism, and you've got to look at criticism, understand it, and kind of move forward. You should also kind of be looking at how you can get better. And a lot of these pundits, some of them, as we've said, do speak rubbish, but some of them have speak some facts as well sometimes. And you've got to kind of decipher what is what. But if I was a player, I would try and stay away from it most of the time, because it can be negative. It can kind of drain you a little bit, but you've also got to embrace the criticism and kind of work on your game. And as long as a player, you're working on your game, constantly trying to improve, constantly have a good attitude, and constantly have a winning mentality, then there's nothing more you can do as a player. But I don't think it's a problem having all these pundits around, because I like hearing different opinions. I like seeing fan opinion. That's why I do the United Stand. It's what I like, and I don't think you should let other opinions affect you. That's called having a strong mentality, and you've got to have that mentality to play for Manchester United. If you can't take it, you shouldn't be playing for United at the end of the day. I don't think the media really has much to do with it. If it does have something to do with it, that's the players kind of letting it get in your head. If you can't deal with it, ignore it. And if you can't deal with it, then you've kind of got to look at yourself a little bit, and how you've got to have the belief in yourself, and your mentality has got to be stronger than letting other people affect you. I mean, sometimes it does, but you've got to have a tough shell to be a Manchester United player. That's the whole point of it.
Absolutely bang on. Well said. I would say, I think a lot of it today is to do with this what you would call the snowflake generation and that. And I think people do find criticism very hard, and they're very easy to use. I'd say mental health or whatever, but they will use negativity, Jordan, as a kind of a bad thing. I personally don't think it is a bad thing. If you've got anything about you as a footballer, and let's say you were, and somebody says you were shit one day or whatever, Jordan's had an absolute nightmare today, you would know in your own head. So you deal with that, don't you? And if anything, would you not use that as motivation in your next game, really? You know, Roy Keane's just called me out here and said it was crap, you know, and I know I was below standards, but same question, mate. Again, do you think there's too many Manchester United-based pundits that have their say on United? We are the biggest club in the world, or arguably, as some other people would say, but it is a massive thing. And Manchester United, whenever they're talked about in the media, they sell newspapers, talk sport, whenever there's a phone in, there's that many of us that we all want to have our say, exactly like we do on the United Stand.
Yeah, I think... yeah, the biggest club in the world needs more mouths and eyes talking about it. So all these other channels are doing is doing what our own club is doing, which is pumping out as much content from a United point of view as possible to drive as many interactions. So you just get as many ex-legends as you possibly can to talk about the club. I think the thing about Roy Keane calling players out is it's a shame that it takes for somebody sat in a studio to call the players out. I'd like to think there's people in the changing rooms calling them out, and that's what's disappointing. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So anything that Roy Keane sat in a studio saying, somebody should be telling him already. And more importantly, as the captain of Manchester United, he should know in himself that he's not playing well. These players are, coached, and there's whole media training and stuff behind the scenes to help them. Sorry.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Look, it's a hat trick. Let it out. Yeah, these players are coached and educated behind the scenes to deal with the criticism. And I think you're probably told to expect it from somebody like Roy Keane, because the standards were so high when he was our captain for our greatest period of trophies. So, no, I think, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. And this is why I always say about fan content, which is why I wanted to be part of the United Stand, is people like yourselves' opinions mean more to me than a legend sat in a studio, because Yeah, but this is as real as it is. This is as honest as it is. You know, this is why I switched off from watching mainstream media 2 years before I was on the United stand, because I would watch it and I'd be like, these guys are talking the truth. I might not agree with it, but I understand your point. And I would sit in my house listening to you guys talking and talk back to the screen as though I was having conversations with you, because I could agree with what you guys are saying. What is being said in studios is just there to just sort of drive interaction. Like, that isn't real.
I do actually think in mainstream media they should have more fan opinion in there. I like having the pundits, don't get me wrong, and I do enjoy watching like a Carragher Neville debate on Monday Night Football. I like that fact, but I do think it would be kind of more realistic if they did have some fan opinion in there as well, and it's more relatable to a lot of the fans watching it. But I don't know, maybe it will move in that direction someday. But always going to be criticism when you're in the mainstream media, when you're a football player, and that's just life. I
know, but the problem is with the whole Neville and Carragher is they're basically trying to turn him into Sky Sports Ant and Deck, isn't they? You know, and it's all that comedy and whatever around here. Like, just give it to me real. And when we sit on here afterwards, we give it to each other real. So yeah, I like it. It's funny, but when they're running around in space balls and doing penalty shootouts against each other and all that, it's just comedy, like.
On that point, Jordan's in
pole position for man of the match.
Jordan's gold. That was gold, Jordan. I'm going to remember that. That was gold, guys. For about 20 years, we had pundits in Ireland. We had Eamon Dunphy, who wrote Roy Keane's first biography, played for United and played for some other left teams after that. We had Liam Brady, who actually ran the Arsenal Youth Academy. He played for Juventus with Platini, and Johnny Giles, who played for Leeds under Don Revie back in the day. So we had 4 absolute hard cases, okay, on TV, covering all the Ireland matches, covering the Premiership, covering Champions League, okay? They were box office because they would argue with each other live on air, and they were so opinionated. The presenter would sit back, literally throw a bomb into the studio with a point, knowing full well the guys would interact. That was fantastic. However, the national broadcasters saw, no, we can't these boys on anymore because they're too opinionated, they're too hard on their views, and the younger, softer, snowflake, sheep generation cannot identify with their opinions. Every one of them now is gone off Irish TV. They're gone. They've been replaced.
What was he called?
Dunphy.
He used to chat so much shit that I remember getting.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny though. It's funny. But the point is, the national station right now. If you're over 30 in Ireland, you'll watch the Irish game on the station. You'll watch the Champions League. But once the match is over, you turn the channel. You change the channel because the pundits they've on now. You don't want to hear them because it's bland. It's so bland, and you don't want to hear it. And there's even now the equivalent of United Stand on YouTube for Irish football fans because they want to hear an actual debate, an actual conversation, and proper actual analysis. And that's what we give.
Mm-hmm. I tell you a question I will throw out here, just as we sort of gliding towards the end of the show. I've not been on with, I can't remember the last time I was on with you all anyway. So we'll talk about Ten Hag has been mentioned as the successor to Rangnick. I know he's not even landed officially at Manchester United yet, but if I do it in order, I'll go from Jay. I mean, Pochettino, it seems to have cooled slightly, but as a long-term successor, give me the name of the man that you want to take Manchester United forward once this interim role is finished.
Okay, we missed the boat on Pep, Klopp, Tuchel.
No,
we're not going to get Nagelsmann from Bayern because he's going to be there for a long time. So the next crop of new age managers is led by Ten Hag, and our friends in Sky and BT would probably say, no, he's only won the Dutch league. I don't care. Ten Hag is another football visionary. He's working on a tiny infantile budget in Ajax. he has a track record of developing youth players. Because as we know, the Dutch system is the players at under 12 play the exact same system or tactical makeup as the Champions League side. Mm-hmm. So we are almost on the show looking at what about the youth? What about Shatiri, Alanga, Ethan Laird? We're almost asking about the youth. But somebody like Ten Hag could possibly come in under the tutelage of Radnick and actually say, right, we've got a 3-year plan. We've got a critical mass of 8 youth players or players who are in between the age of 16 and 20. And in a 3 years' time, I want at least 50% of that 8 playing first team football, and they can form nucleus of my new side. So for me personally, Ten Hag would be a dream option, because I know the young, and I want the kids because they're not kids, they're young men, but the young men at that club that had been overlooked and have been left in no man's land over the last couple of years will finally get their chance to be superstars. And I've got no doubt, guys, there is many superstar in that club that over the last couple of years has literally gone through the system and has moved on because we didn't have the structure to bring that young man up to first team level. So I don't want to see any more talent wasted at that club. And Ten Hag, I think, will be the man to come in and nullify that.
Just quickly, we've got a super chat from Caps Lock 24/7 Gaming that says, people who are against Ronaldo, you guys don't deserve Ronaldo, and you guys should be out of the UEFA Champions League now. I wish he should have joined Man City and score against Man U. Respect. Legend. He joined Man U for you. Yeah. What? Thanks very much for that. Anyway, Jordan, we'll definitely into you there, mate. Ten Hag, or who's the man? Baffling, man.
I kind of get what you're saying.
He's got a point.
But none of us said anything about Ronaldo.
When he could have joined Man City, which Man City is a better prospect. He came back for the fans, and I don't think he's basically saying that the fans shouldn't be against him because he's not our problem at all, which he's not. And
we're not against. I know
we're not. But
I was going to say,
but the way that was addressed sounded like it was talking about one of us 5.
Yeah, that's
really?
Exactly.
That's how it sounded.
You
that's
guys
how it
don't
sounded.
deserve Ronaldo.
Yeah, that's how it come across to me.
The only thing I can think of, the only person that said slightly about that was me saying that there will be some games that he's potentially dropped in, and I think when Cavani's back and with how Rangnick likes to play, that is a possibility, but that doesn't mean I'm not happy with Ronaldo being here. He's the sole reason why we're in the next round of the Champions League.
Yeah. Jordan,
but anyway, sidetrack.
Sorry, I was going to say a quick say on where we move after the interim. I know we're sort of jumping the gun here because, like I say, he's not even in, but I've just seen your message, sir, and we will end with man of the match as well. So we'll get all the viewers involved in that in the live comments as well. Did you think Scott McTominay? Go on, mate.
Sorry, are we Ten Haging, or are we talking about McTominay man of the match?
No, not man of the match yet, mate. Come on.
Man
need to listen and keep up with us.
Right, sorry, mate. I'm trying to look I think we need somebody that comes in and complements the work that is done before the summer. So, there's a lot of talk about Ten Hag. I think he could be the next gem, the next big thing. You look at what he's done in Ajax. Can he transfer that to the big league and make that step up? I would support that move. I really would. But I think we all kept saying, if Ollie moves on and we bring another manager in, unless we get the structure right behind the scenes, in 2-3 years' time, we're going to be having the same conversation. I think the decision of what's been made with Ralph is the right thing and shows something different from the board. And now what we need to do is just bring a man in then that can help take things to the next level.
Beth, Ten Hag, is he the man?
Yeah, for me, it 100% is. I agree with everything that Jay was saying there and as well. I just think he, for me, looking at all the options now, we have missed out on quite a few good options, but he's got the most potential, I think, and I like the way he plays football. I think his style's perfect for us. And I think, do you know what? I won't be surprised though if Ragnick comes in, if he does a good job. I generally would not be surprised at him getting the job full time. But I do think out of the options we've got, Pochettino, Rodgers, or Ten Hag, I would go with Ten Hag. Fresh era, young manager. I mean, they're all quite young managers, but I think he'll come in. I think he'll have a philosophy, and you've got to remember he's working with players, no offense to Ajax, of a much higher caliber, much more potential, and he'll have a budget to spend, and he'll bring you through. I think he's a great option, and I think, like you say, no one's Premier League proven, and no one's one of the best managers in the world until they come to the Premier League, come to a top team, and kind of prove it there. Klopp did that. Tuchel's now doing that, and I think Ten Hag could follow in them footsteps. I mean, he might not do, but for me, I see all the potential of him to do so. Plus, it's not only in the Dutch league that he's doing it, it is in the Champions League as well, which is a hard league to do it in. He's playing very good football in the Champions League with players that have come up through the youth. They're on a small budget. I think he deserves a lot of credit.
Sorry, there's a quick super chat there. Man United HOJ says, Beth, where are you today? You're freezing left, right, and centre. I mean, it's very cold. It snowed and everything in Manchester today.
I know, my Wi-Fi's usually fine. Maybe the cable is kind of a bit frozen or something like that, because usually I'm all right. I'm all right. Maybe my dad's I don't know. He might be using all the internet up. I'm not sure.
And Darren Mullany, I think that's how you pronounce it, says, could Ten Hag come with Van der Sar? I suppose that would be the dream team, right? Jordan's called it. He wanted to do man of the match. We'll throw it out. We'll go around in a circle, and then we'll wrap up for the evening. We'll start off with you, Jay. Man of the match for this evening.
Easy. Number 3, Eric Bailly, man of the match.
Nice and simple, yeah. Don't want to elaborate on that. Just Eric Bailly, yeah. Let's move on. Yeah. Yep. Jordan, then.
Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't know. I was waiting for someone else to jump in.
Keep up.
Yeah, there's a lot of individual performances. I thought players played well. Guys, can you tell? I don't know why Scott McTominay was man of the match. I don't know what I missed. Like, I thought he played well, but I didn't see it. I thought Fred and Matic played much better along next to him. Bailly, again, for me, I just thought he keeps coming in, doesn't get a run of games, but whenever he comes in, he performs. So yeah, I would go for Bailly.
Yeah. Beth?
I would actually go, I don't know, there's a few contenders. I thought Bailly was good, but I'm going to go with Fred. I thought he was everywhere today, and I think I just thought he was great in the midfield. And by the way, guys, I'm not on some cheap dial-up internet. I actually have very good internet. It's just playing up, okay? Right.
Internet snobbery. All these people on Tesco Wi-Fi or whatever, Tesco Mobile.
But Fred, for me, I thought he was everywhere. And I think you're going to see him develop under Ragnick. I hope so anyway, because I think there is a player in there.
I think Fred would have been a close contention, but I think when he got a bit above his station and thought, I've seen Eric Cantona do this in videos, and I'm going to try and chip the keeper when he could have slipped Lingard in. I thought I would have had to slightly mark him down on that, I think. But Alex, are you agreeing, Fred?
Yeah.
I can't believe it, man.
It's Fred. I feel like a lot of people are against the McTominay-Fred partnership, and don't get me wrong, I am as well. But I think when Ragnick comes in with the style of play he plays, that Fred is going to be completely key to his team. And I feel like when he's up higher up the pitch and like pressing the way he does, I feel he'll, like we saw against Villarreal, how crucial he can be. And yeah, okay, he messed it up at the end, but shooting isn't his forte. If Ragnick comes in and says, just don't shoot under any circumstances and just do what you're good at and stick to your strengths, then yeah, it'll pay dividends. And I think he will be a key player in the system. So yeah, Fred.
And what is he good at, Alex?
Pressing and winning the ball back, but then he just needs to press, win the ball back, and then just give it to someone that can actually do something with the ball, because he certainly can't.
Fair enough. That's a great way. We are up past the hour now. Let everybody get off to whatever they want to do anyway. I'll thank you all individually very quickly. Jay, thanks very much as always, sir.
You're welcome. As you would say yourself, always a pleasure, never a chore.
There you go. Lovely. Jordan, any DJing tonight or just taking it easy?
No, working tonight. Yeah, Christmas parties. So yeah, busy.
If you need anyone at MC, I don't know. I keep sending you direct messages, but you don't seem to respond to them. I don't know whether there's some kind of internet problem or whatever. But if you ever need me, I'm there, mate. I'm honestly available.
Have on the
Thanks,
deck.
mate.
I'm not joking either. There's no need to laugh. Yeah. There you go. There's one to think about. I don't expect to hear from you, mate. But Beth, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'll try and improve my Wi-Fi for you next time, guys, honestly. But yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it's good to get a result against top of the league. So.
And Alex, whose missus and son was in the same hotel that I was in last night and actually passed me and then said, I think I've seen Kev last night. And it was unbelievable, man.
Yeah, great to be on the last show of the undefeated Carrick era and now starting a new era. So really excited for the next game. Like we were saying last night on the show, I kind of just wanted to get this game out of the way with a positive result. And then I'm so buzzing for the next game and hopefully we get a positive result. So, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks to everyone who's been watching. Live comments were brilliant. Zayn Miassi's mum's not going to be at all happy with him when she gets the credit card statement through, but that is not our problem. Stop leaving that credit card lying around.
Let's see what he puts after the Arsenal game on the fan forum.
Exactly. We'll see if he's about.
Definitely.
Exactly. Anyway, you've been watching the biggest Man United fan channel in the land. Oh, God, my voice. This was the United Stand.